This is Smart Poker Study episode 207, 5 Essential Concepts for Poker Profitability. In the prior episode number 206, I answered 4 questions about studying apathy, the Smart Poker Study archive, Jack 10 offsuit, and learning from showdowns. It's poker study time, y'all, so thanks for tuning in and turning it up so that your cubicle neighbors can listen along. I appreciate each and every one of you, and a very big, appreciative, warm welcome to Steve Sheridan for joining the Patreon support group. I really do appreciate it, Steve. Thank you very much, and for everyone else who has been continuing their support month after month. If you would like to follow in Steve's footsteps and support me on Patreon, just go to patreon.com/smartpokerstudy. There are different levels of support with different rewards attached, and once you begin your support, you'll have access to the archive of patron-only content. And I have a couple of things, 2 new benefits that I'm going to be offering my Patreon subscribers starting this week, actually. Benefit number 1 is, from now on, each new episode, the MED Monday, Walking Wednesday, and Strategy Friday, all of those episodes will be sent 1 day early to my Patreon supporters. Currently, it's just been the Strategy Friday episodes, but now all of them are going to be delivered early. And number 2, each episode will be ad-free, baby. Yep, some people mind the ads and some don't, but my Patreon supporters will get 100% poker goodness from now on. And of course, like my occasional diatribes on The Walking Dead or bacon or rum or unicorns or whatever I feel like mentioning, you know. So to get in on the action, to enjoy these 2 new benefits, as well as the normal supporter rewards that come with your support, just go to patreon.com/smartpokerstudy to start that support. Alrighty, let's get to it. Today's episode is going to give you 5 essential areas you must focus on for profitable poker. Please visit the show notes page for everything I discussed today, along with screenshots and links at smartpokerstudy.com/pod207. And when you go there, make sure you sign up for that weekly boost for exclusive poker strategy direct to your inbox. Well, let's do it. Gambate!
Oh, we can handle it. We're professionals.
Now look, this is gonna get weird, all right? It's pretty freaky, but it's safe. There's no reason to be scared.
Oh, no, Daddy don't get scared.
Really? Good.
The 5 essential concepts of playing profitable poker. Number 1 is EV decision making. So first, you might be asking, what is EV? EV stands for expected value, and it's the value of the prospective play that you're considering. So why is EV decision making important? Well, thinking in terms of EV means that you're giving more than just some casual thought to your next button click. If you're working with an EV mindset, you're trying to think at a deeper level when you're making decisions. You're considering all of your options, and you're thinking about the value of each of them. Poker's one big math problem, so EV decision making gives you a more logical and mathematical approach to playing poker. And here's a common non-EV approach to a hand. A player looks down at their cards, right, and they see that they have a flush draw. They get a little excited, and they think to themselves, geez, I hope I get my flush on the next street. So they kind of unthinkingly just call on the flop in order to see the next street. But somebody with an EV mindset, they are going to instead have a thought like this. I have a flush draw, and I'm out of position. What's my best play here? Should I just check then call? Should I check raise to bluff them off the pot? Or should I donk bet in order to make them think I hit a really strong hand? So the person who plays with an EV mindset, they're going to consider all of their options before they click that button, and they're going to go with the most positive EV option. Just to go a little bit further into EV, every decision that you make, it lies along an EV spectrum. So if you go to the show notes for today, you'll see a screenshot of what the EV spectrum, what it looks like. It's just a straight line. Right in the middle is the neutral or 0 EV part. Now, this is a decision that neither makes you money nor costs you money in the long run. It's kind of like folding your hand on the button 1 million times, right? You haven't committed any chips yet to the pot. So whether you fold pocket aces or 7 deuce offsuit, your chip stack is the exact same at the end of the hand as it was at the start of the hand. so the EV value of folding on the button is 0. To the right of that neutral EV center line are the positive EV decisions. These are the ones that earn you some amount of money, and some decisions are more positive EV or just profitable than others. Let's consider pocket aces, right? 3-betting with pocket aces pre-flop, we know that that is positive EV. It's your best starting hand, so it's obviously a money-making play, that 3-betting is. But there might be times, based on the opponents that you're up against, or maybe the bet sizing, or the tournament conditions, that calling instead of 3-betting, that might be a more profitable move, a more positive EV move. Now, going back to the spectrum, looking to the left of that neutral EV line, that is the negative EV part of the spectrum. These are all decisions that cost you money in the long run. Sure, you might hit your flush on the next street this time, but if it's mathematically not profitable for you to call on the flop, in the long run, you're just handing money over to your opponent. Now, how can you practice EV decision making? On the felt, you can put a focus on considering all of your options before you click that button. Too many players, they auto 3-bet or auto c-bet or auto call in different situations. Your goal in playing with an EV mindset is to place each decision along the EV spectrum and choose the one that's most positive EV. The other way you can practice an EV mindset is off the felt. As you review your hands, take the time to really consider your decisions and gauge where each decision lands on the EV spectrum. Actually, you can print and laminate the screenshot, and I highly recommend that. You can hold it right there on the desk in front of you as you're playing your session. And as you're playing, take the time to determine which option is most positive EV, utilizing that visual of the EV spectrum, and then resolve to make that play in the future. And the final thing that you can do off the felt, you can use an EV calculator as you review hands. Splitsuit over there at redchippoker.com, he made a very easy to use and free EV calculator to get you started. Just go to the show notes page for today and click the link within the page to check out that EV calculator. The second concept, play the player. Why do you want to play the player? Well, beginning players, they're at level 1. They think only about their cards and their hand strength in relation to the board at the time. Now, level 2 players, they think about the other player's hand and their tendencies. A level 2 player's goal is to understand the villain in an effort to exploit them by bluffing them off pots or gaining extra value down the streets. When you understand your opponents, you realize that there are many positive EV options available to you. So when a level 1 player flops a 2-pair hand, for example, they're prone to just bet down the streets, right? But if a level 2 player knows their opponent's tendencies, they've got other options. Maybe villain hates to bet then fold post-flop. So the level 2 player, they exploit this by checking and then raising on the flop. Villain's predisposed to call because they hate folding, like I said. Now that builds the pot for a bigger turn pot, which of course means bigger turn and bigger river bets. This ends up earning the level 2 player a little bit more money than the level 1 player would have made with that exact same hand against that same opponent. Now, how do you put playing the player into action? The first way is to study player types at your stakes. There are going to be lags, tags, nits, fish, and then all of those in like varying degrees, right? There's fish at the tables, but then there's whales at the tables too who play even more hands just as passively. So how do each of these player types choose their hands pre-flop? Now, how do these player types play post-flop? How do they play post-flop as the pre-flop raiser or as the pre-flop caller? How do they play with flush draws, with straight draws, with ace-king, whatever it is? You want to gauge their tendencies. And you do this in an effort to devise ways to exploit them. You might know a lot of tag players, for example, who c-bet almost every flop, but as soon as the turn hits and they check, you know that they do not have a good hand. Great! Against these players, you want to call every one of their flop c-bets when you're in position. Then fire the turn as soon as they check. Bam! That is a money-making exploit that you just put to use. The second thing that you can do to play the player is utilize your HUD. Now, of course, for all of you live players, this doesn't really apply to you, but online players, we all use a HUD, but really, some of us have it there just for looks because we like the idea of using it, but we never actually put it to use. It's not there just for looks. I want you to use the percentages to gauge your opponent's tendencies, then find opportunities to exploit them. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/smartpokerstudy. They have over 180,000 titles to choose from, and of course they have my first two books, How to Study Poker Volume 1 and Volume 2, and of course they have my latest book, Pre-Flop Online Poker as well. And I'm currently listening to a great one called The Stand. Well, I shouldn't say called The Stand. You guys all know Stephen King's book, The Stand. Well, I'm listening to the audiobook right now, and literally it's like 30 hours long or something. I'm not sure. It's because it's a super fat book, but man, it's a killer audiobook. So not only do they have my poker stuff from other people, but they've got tons of other nonfiction and plenty of fiction books as well. So to start your own Audible trial, just go to audibletrial.com/smartpokerstudy to get started and get that free audiobook download. And just two shout outs today. The first goes to Daniel Koffler, who purchased the Poker Tracker 4 best program ever. He got it through my affiliate link by going to smartpokerstudy.com/pokertracker4. Thank you very much, Daniel, for going there, purchasing the software through me. And for that, I already sent Daniel my full Smart HUD, as well as those killer videos that I send everybody who supports me this way. Killer videos about using the HUD and getting more out of Poker Tracker 4. So thanks, Daniel. And the second one goes out to Hai Lee for purchasing the Poker Mathematics webinar. He is working on his poker game, and he's focusing first on the math side. Like I said earlier, poker is all about math, and, well, Hai is perfecting his math skills. So thank you very much, Hai. And if you'd like to purchase the Poker Mathematics webinar for yourself, just go to the show notes page for today. Bam! You'll find it right down there. Alrighty, back to class, poker people. The third concept for profitable poker is bankroll management. So why is bankroll management so important? Well, you have to have money in order to make money. And without bankroll management, you're likely to lose your bankroll. See, profitable poker, it involves building up your bankroll so that you can safely move up in stakes so that you can make even more profits. Somebody who's a 10 big blind per hour winner, they're going to make a lot more money at $5, $10 than at $1, $2. The higher the stakes, the more potential profit. Also, bankroll management keeps you in control of your money and doesn't let your emotions get in the way. Here's something that I've done before, and I bet many of you have experienced the same thing. I remember losing 5 $7 sit and goes in a row, and they all felt like they were like bad beat losses, where I had ace king and he called with ace queen and I lost. That was like, it was just a crappy run, a crappy string right in a row, 5 $7 sit and goes. Well, I was tilting and I was angry because of it. So I decided to play a $30 sit and go in order to try to turn a quick profit. I was not rolled for $30 sit and goes at all. But I still decided to play in order to try to win back that money I lost. Of course, I lost this one as well, and I compounded my losses for the day with that stupid non-bankroll choice. Well, if you stick to your bankroll management, that kind of thing is not going to insert its ugly head into your sessions. So what are my recommendations for your bankroll management? Now, if you're a cash game player, I recommend having 40 to 60 buy-ins for the level that you play. Now, this is really hard to do for live players. Even at $1, $2 stakes, a standard buy-in is $200. Times 40 means you need $8,000 to play the stakes. A lot of people just do not have that. So the 40 to 60 buy-in rule, that's definitely a good rule of thumb for online players. But for you live players, you just have to do the best that you can. Study, work on your game, try to exploit your opponents, build your roll up to $8,000, and then, well, take it from there. Now, if you're an MTT or a sit-and-go player, I recommend between 100 and 200 buy-ins. Preferably closer to 200. We all know the variance that's involved in tournaments, so 200 buy-ins is not an unreasonable target. This just ends up being like a great safety cushion as you grind out those tournaments. For both cash or MTT sit-and-go players, it's okay to take occasional shots, especially if your bankroll is over the required amount. So let's say you play with a 40 times buy-in requirement for cash games, and maybe you're at 50 times right now. That's great. You want to throw in the occasional buy-in at the next level to see maybe if you can't earn some extra profits and gain some experience at that upper level. And if it's possible, do not withdraw your money from your bankroll. Your goal is to build your bankroll so that you can move up safely to the next level so that you can make even more money. If you continually withdraw money and you're always at 40 buy-ins, you're going to be stuck there forever. Concept number 4, table and seat selection. So why is this important? Well, the players that you play with, they are a huge factor in your profitability. Let's look at a couple of extreme examples here. The first extreme example is you're at a full ring table with 8 highly skilled players who are all better than you. Being the worst at the table, it gives you a very low probability of making any money this session. Sure, it might be a good learning opportunity sitting and playing with these better players, but kiss your money goodbye, right? Now, let's look at the other extreme. You're the single best person at the table with 8 other first-time poker players. Yep, you can all see that this is a totally profitable situation to be in. The general idea is that you're going to make poker more profitable by sitting at tables with many players who are worse than you. Now let's look at an example of seat selection. You're at a full ring table with 2 equally skilled players on your direct left and 6 other fish. You're going to have a pickle of a time making money and exploiting the other players at the table because these 2 on your direct left, they're going to be trying to exploit your exploits as much as possible. But if those other 2 players are to your right, or maybe they're directly across the table from you, you're going to have more opportunities to exploit them or to exploit the other fish at the table once those 2 are out of a hand. Now, how are you going to practice table and seat selection? First, you're going to look for profitable tables and profitable seats. That's the easiest thing. If you're an online player, you have to go by the rules of the site when it comes to joining tables and maybe possibly switching seats. But you want to do your best to leave unprofitable tables and find those profitable ones. If you're a live cash game player, it's a bit different. You want to put your name on the waitlist, then walk around and observe the tables. Have your eye on which tables are probably the most profitable. If you get sat at one of those good tables, great, just stay there. If the one next to you is more profitable and you're at a tough table, then request a table change, And if you're seated in a bad seat, wait for a good one to open up across the table or even right next to you if that's even better, and throw a chip there as soon as that seat opens up and say, seat change, and bam, make your move. That's now your seat. The key thing here is to not stay at unprofitable tables or unprofitable seats. Life is way too short to play in unprofitable poker situations. And the final concept, number 5, the mental game. So why is this so important? The mental game is important because it's the most insidious, costly, and yet hard to fix issue for most players. Most players, they know that they suffer from some kind of anger or tilt issues, but they often don't know how to resolve them, right? Let's look at how tilt can affect the other 4 concepts already mentioned. The first concept was EV decision making. Now, when anger kicks in, EV decision gets kicked to the curb. You begin making your plays based on your hand, the board, your hatred of the opponent, or maybe your eagerness to finally win a frickin' pot. You stop thinking through things and you act on emotion, which of course leads to chip spew. The second concept was playing the player. Now, we've all done what I'm about to say. We are tilted because the donk over there sucked out on us, so now we target him and we play every hand he does in order to get some kind of revenge and earn our chips back. We put ourselves in terrible situations with crappy cards, and then we spew off chips to get them to fold, or in hopes of catching a Miracle River 6-high backdoor straight draw, The third concept was bankroll management. Now, anger can easily cause you to spew stacks off. Just like I mentioned earlier, you end up buying into games that are too big for your roll, and when you buy into those, you're not even mentally prepared to tackle that bigger game, so you end up losing more money. Now, the final concept was table and seat selection. So, exhaustion or anger that can cause you to miss the fact that you're at a terrible table or a terrible seat. These factors can also cause you to stay at the casino longer than normal or continue playing in your session longer than you normally would, maybe at a subpar level. You know that you should be leaving, but your inability to think straight, it's causing you to stay longer to try to win back your losses. Now, what can you do about this mental game issue? Once you're aware that you have an issue, you can work to fix it. I recommend that you start journaling on what sets you on tilt. When you notice those emotions start to rise, take a breath and tag the hand for a later review. When you're reviewing the hand, what happened to get your heart beating? What did you do? Or what did your opponents do to get you angry? What situation is setting your emotions rising? So whatever it is, journal about it so that you can start to deal with those issues. Next, you want to prepare for how to handle it. When you know the situations that tilt you, you can create a plan to deal with them in a safe and sane way. And of course, I recommend that you read some books or listen to some mindset type podcast content out there. I recommend starting with anything from Jared Tendler or Dr. Tricia Cardner. They've both got killer books and podcasts that can help you out. And lastly, you need to be honest with yourself and confront those tilting demons. Don't act like it's no big deal. Tilt and mental game issues cause major losses and gigantic poker setbacks. Don't let yourself become a poker mindset casualty. Challenge! Here's my challenge to you for this episode. Use SplitSuit's EV calculator to run some EV calcs with your own hands. Maybe look for good 3-bet bluff opportunities, check-raise semi-bluffing opportunities, or simple flop bluff c-bet opportunities. Run the calcs to see the EV of the play that you're considering. You're going to learn a lot from this exercise, especially if you've never considered the profitability of individual plays before. Now it's your turn to pull the trigger and do something positive for your poker game.
You better wake up. The world you live in is just a sugar-coated topping. There is another world beneath it, the real world. And if you want to survive it, you better learn to pull the trigger.
This episode isn't complete until you head to the show notes page at www.smartpokerstudy.com/pod207. Go there for screenshots and links to everything discussed today and to discover ways in which you can support the podcast and keep me keeping on. Thank you so much for listening today. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe and leave a review within your favorite podcatching app. Those 5-star reviews really help to spread the word about the show. If you have any questions, I have answers. Send me an email to sky@smartpokerstudy.com. Alrighty, poker peeps. In the next episode, number 208, I'm going to discuss making the transition from tight aggressive to loose aggressive play. Word of mouth is the best advertising, so thank you very much for sharing the show with other poker people. Your sharing and caring is what helps us grow. Until next time, study smart, play much, and make your next session the best one yet.